I play the piano, and for college applications, I applied to both conservatories and universities. Just recently, my fellow classmate David from IB music class and another girl from a Chinese local school, they both came to me and asked, Vivian, how do you manage to play 6 hours of piano every day while managing schoolwork? I told them I don't. Just kidding. But it's definitely something that I struggled with for a pretty long time. However, for the past year, I spent 8 months living alone in Nanjing because my piano studio is in Nanjing. I was finding the best way, really, to balance piano and schoolwork. I still struggle with it from time to time, but I believe I found a really comfortable mode of studying that reduces my anxiety. It's a mode which I call stress-free active thinking. Now, I don't know about you guys, but whenever I watch TED Talks, before even watching the whole video, I go straight to the comment section to look for a summary of the main takeaways. So here, I made it for you guys. Now let me expand on these things. Compare these two videos. Video 1 illustrates the stress-free active thinking mode, and video 2 illustrates otherwise. Now let's do some analysis. In video 1, I would switch around different tasks. When I feel like I'm no longer productive, I switch to another one that probably requires less brain energy or different brain energy, such as playing the piano, or walking, or working out. Therefore, I feel like I'm productive most of the time, if not all the time. So when I can't think of stuff, I just play the piano or walk or do other productive things, and chances are ideas pop up when I'm doing these things. Funny enough, I was writing down ideas for this TED Talk when I am stretching post-workout. So in video 2, I was forcing myself to spend a large increment of time on one task, for example, writing an I.O. And I told myself that for the next hour, the only thing I must do is the I.O. With the stress-free active thinking mode, doing homework in the practice room is almost like a break for me. So in video 1, I tell myself, I'm gonna do homework. But then I end up in front of the piano thinking, I'm just gonna do this for a little while. And the result doesn't really matter. Chances are I end up gaining a lot from that practice sessions, and I was not very stressed. In video 2, I tell myself, for this next hour, I'm gonna grind on this I.O. And if I don't do well, there's going to be serious consequences. What is this active thinking mode in terms of neuroscience and psychology? Well, I read about Eureka moments. Eureka moment is a moment of sudden, triumphant discovery, inspiration, or insight. You might be familiar with this with a light bulb on Einstein's head, or Archimedes frantically running out naked from a bathtub saying, I got it! So, modern scientists have conducted many studies to study this effect. Think different. The merits of unconscious thought in preference development and decision making. Inspired by distraction, mind wandering facilitates creative incubation. Unconscious thought effects take place offline, not online. Something I learned from reading these studies is when we think critically, such as solving a math problem, we use our left hemisphere, which are usually conscious. Eureka moments, however, are often a result of right hemisphere activity, which are usually unconscious. So how do we cultivate this stress-free active thinking mode and have our right hemisphere do more work? I summarized 3 tips. 1. Wonder productively. 2. Don't be stressed. And 3. Seek inspirations or minimize distractions. First, wonder productively. It is said that Einstein was quote-unquote daydreaming and was suddenly struck by the idea that if a man falls freely, he will not feel his weight. Notice the keyword daydreaming. So scientists saw in brain scans that right before someone has a eureka moment, there are alpha waves in the brain that identified reduced external information. Therefore, silence and solitude are crucial for nurturing eureka moments. It's only when our brains are free from the crowded chaos of our left hemisphere thinking and being distracted can the right hemisphere activity make its appearance. So being in Nanjing for me, I had ample time to be lost in my own thoughts. I've seen people talking about this in many places, including famous author Sarah Cain in her book, The Power of Introverts, where she emphasized the importance of alone time. Second tip, don't be stressed or use less effort. I used to have a serious misconception, and I believe many of us good students and hard workers have it too. It is the thought that being stressed and being anxious and forcing yourself to do more things helps you do better and finish your work more efficiently. But that is not correct. You may have heard of cortisol, the fight or flight response. To put simply, cortisol is a hormone that literally shrinks the hippocampus, which is the thinking center of the brain. My mom told me this story. When she was younger, she used to program for her company. And once she had this really difficult problem that she just couldn't solve in front of her desk. However, the next day, when she was walking on her way to work, she was suddenly struck by the solution. Insights tend to happen specifically when you're not actively making an effort or being anxious about the task at hand. During the process of me writing this TED Talk, it's rare that I purposefully sat down to write it. It's always like when I'm walking or watching someone else's TED Talks, I get insights from them and I jot down my ideas. And finally, I would be sitting in front of the desk to compile these ideas all together. My third and final tip would be to seek inspirations and minimize distractions. In a study conducted by the scientist called Bowden, he discovered that eureka moments are sometimes a result of triggers. That is, environmental factors that may subconsciously ignite an association with something already stored in your right hemisphere. So, I feel like our everyday lives sometimes are way too filled with distractions, such as people chattering around us, TikTok, mindlessly scrolling through Instagram, etc. And these information are not so helpful for nurturing eureka moments. So during our free time, read a book. Expose yourself to information that are related to your task at hand. Chances are they will come in handy or prompt you in some way or another. So when I first told my friends to try the strategy out, they told me quite anguishedly that I just can't think of anything. Like, I tell myself to actively think. Like, I would walk around the block and and just try to think of stuff, but I can't seem to do it. And trust me, that's something that I struggle with as well. Quite ironically, I sometimes get stressed for forcing myself to not be stressed, and I also get stressed for telling myself that I have to constantly be in this active thinking mode. But I will leave you guys with this. It's okay if you are not constantly actively thinking. Some days are just more productive than others, and that is totally okay. As long as you make a conscious effort to follow the 3 tips provided, active thinking mode will come naturally. Thank you.